Today we are here in Montego Bay, Jamaica, as linesmen from the United States and Canada are here as part of a large-scale ongoing operation to rebuild the power grid across Jamaica. Welcome back to Good Life in Jamaica. If this is your first time on the YouTube channel, do remember to tap that subscribe button and tap the thumbs up button to like our videos. Ever since the passage of Hurricane Melissa, several hundred US and North American linesmen are actively working in Jamaica to assist Jamaica's power company, that's the JPS, with power restoration efforts following the damage caused by the Category 5 disaster. So we're here in Norwood, Montego Bay, just outside the Norwood Meadows area. We were just passing when we noticed work actively going on here with personnel from overseas. So now efforts have recently focused heavily on the tourism capital, Montego Bay, with the goal of substantial power restoration to critical areas like the hip strip, that's Jimmy Cliff Boulevard, and the elegant corridor by mid-December 2025. There is not only the North American contingent of linesmen, Caribbean line workers have also been deployed in a massive joint effort to restore services and safety to affected communities. So in terms of the companies involved, there are crews from various US firms including Sovereign Line Group and Tempest Energy LLC. They arrived in late October and early November to support the recovery efforts. So the government of Jamaica has challenged the Jamaica Public Service to accelerate the recovery, aiming for 75% of communities to have power restored by mid-December, a goal aided by the influx of this international support. Do remember that these overseas crews were proactively brought in ahead of Tropical Storm Melissa's expected impact as part of a new, faster response strategy developed after lessons learned from Hurricane Beryl in 2024. We must also remember that power is also critical for piped water, and so all efforts and all eyes are now on JPS. So Energy Minister Darrell Vass says the government has completed negotiations with the JPS for a US $150 million loan to the company to facilitate the light and power providers' efforts to build back its grid that suffered catastrophic damage from Hurricane Melissa. And that US $150 million is also critical for the mobilization of at least 300 linesmen. And they'll be working straight through the Christmas holidays, straight into the new year. The same loan will also allow for the staff complement of linesmen in Jamaica to be increased by 170 to 470 in total. So indeed, we're happy that the government of Jamaica has made this strategic move to make sure that we try to bring back the economy so that people can earn and that our major essential services can be restored. So power is slowly being restored to a number of communities each day. There are also areas in Treasure Beach, St. Elizabeth that have received the power as well. And so we commend the efforts of these overseas linesmen, also our local linesmen. We are indeed happy for the effort that is being placed in the restoration of our power grid.
Linesmen from the United States and Canada arrived in the island as the Jamaica Public Service Company strengthened its capacity to restore service in the event that Tropical Storm Melissa makes landfall and inflicts damage to the electricity network. Roger Campbell, a general foreman for the company, said that while he is in Jamaica, he is merely a worker and is excited to be able to help. We are just here to bring the power back on, whatever happens. I am excited to be here to help out. It is my first time in Jamaica, he told the Jamaica Observer at Norman Manley International Airport shortly after the group's arrival. This is my first time in Jamaica. When the idea came up, I was excited. The company said, we have a chance to go and help some fine people in Jamaica. Let's go do it. Let's go for it. We are here to restore power. Our company, Sovereign Line Group, got the ball rolling with JPS, and JPS has done a great job with getting us here, File said. We are just trying to make sure that we are being logical and planning and making sure we can execute so that light will be on. We are making sure people are here, ready to be deployed wherever on the island they are needed so they can start the process quickly, McDonald Tomlinson, who welcomed the group on Friday, told the Observer. Today, we have a total of 59 coming in. There are 3 different flights, but 59 people in total. We already have some crew members here from St. Vincent. They came in earlier this week. These are the best, she said, explaining that the plan to bring in overseas linesmen before the arrival of Melissa were put in place once the Atlantic hurricane season started. This was a plan coming out of what happened with Beryl last year, where we got the crews in after, which, of course, added a bit more time to what needed to be a very timely execution of a project, she explained. Linesmen are critical for ensuring reliable electricity delivery, working in challenging conditions to install poles, wires, and equipment, and responding to power outages caused by natural disasters. Their employers are typically utility companies and private contractors.
The linesmen come with equipment and they come with materials. So when 300 linesmen come to Jamaica to assist the 170, they'll be coming with barges full of equipment, very expensive equipment that has to be rented to make sure that they would be able to carry out the tasks that they have been mandated to do in the time that they have been made to do. So bottom line is, if you get 300 linesmen, they will need to rotate those linesmen because they would only work those linesmen for 18 hours a day for 30 days. So you'd have to bring in a new set of linesmen for the second 30 days, or you'd be using burnt out linesmen who are working at the minimum efficiency because obviously of the stress of the job that they are doing. So it is not 300 linesmen divided into 150 million US dollars. There's a lot more. What I can say, as I said yesterday in Parliament, once the arrangements have been finalized, it will be scrutinized to make sure that we are getting value for money, and we will also monitor the schedule that has been agreed on in terms of the restoration period and the areas. All of that will be made public, including the final loan arrangement documents and the terms and conditions of that. What we don't have is time. People want light.
All right, we have,
We are giving a loan, and that loan is fully secured with any situation that may arise, whether or not they get a new license or they don't get a new license. If they get a new license, which is 2 years is the expiry, they will be able to refinance themselves and pay us back the $150 million. If they don't, we are obligated to buy the assets of JPS, which means that our $150 million will come off of the table first. The shares will be our backup. In case of any eventuality, we would have preferred shares in JPS. So essentially, we would have control not only of our licensing destiny, which is the most important to me, but also the fact that at the end of the day, the $150 is a loan to the JPS. Instead of them having to borrow from somewhere else or somebody else, which would take a much longer time, probably at a much higher interest rate, we are bridging that gap so that we can restore 2 to 3 months earlier. I just don't understand what's so difficult to understand and comprehend about a straightforward, smart, simple, compassionate, and responsible government action.
All right. All right. In relation to the bills,
The question was asked yesterday in relation to the impact of the hurricane. The 3 alternative energy sources that we use, Clarendon, Old Harbour, and Montego Bay, one was out of commission for 2 days and one was out, and two are out for 3 days. So the impact of the change of fuel source would be minimal in relation to that fallout. And in relation to the loan, the JPS has to borrow money any which way. So this new money that they are borrowing from the government would probably be beneficiary to the customers based on the interest rates that will be negotiated, based on the fact that we are very mindful of the fact that any higher interest rates than normal interest rates would have an impact, obviously, with a pass-through to the customers. So the government and the Ministry of Finance, I'm sure, will take that into consideration and work out the best interest rate possible to minimize any impact on the customers and people of Jamaica.
all right.
Unfortunately for me, I'm not the line minister as yet for NWC, but I think in due course Minister Samuda will be here. And I know that the Prime Minister made mention in one of his speeches about using alternative sources to make sure that in hurricanes, we were not dependent on JPS. And as a result of Beryl, I know that there's some main water supplies that have already gotten generators, and I know that there's a lot more that are in procurement to make sure that water can be in the pipes in the case of any disaster or catastrophe.
Mr. Speaker, Minister, the context of your presentation in relation to the JPS situation is that the license expires, I think is it July 2027? Notice has been given, triggering the consequences of license termination. Jamaica has roughly 20% of the equity in JPS. The funding gap, based on the recently done work to do the restoration of the grid, including substations, transmission, posts, etc., distribution lines, is around $350 million US. So our 20%, if you're looking at us as a shareholder, our 20% would be 70 million. But we are actually taking the risk of lending an unsecured loan to JPS of 150 million, which is twice the proportion of the equity that we hold in the business. So unsecured is you have the collateral to seize. You're relying on a mechanism to get it back, which I'm going to speak to in a second. So my question to you is, first of all, the other 200 million, which is currently not funded, but which is necessary to achieve the timelines that you have indicated for restoration. What is the assurance that that 200 million will be raised on a timely basis so as to enable the necessary expenditures to be made by JPS to hit the targets, which are presumably fairly aggressive targets given the extent of the damage to the grid and so on? What level of confidence do you have that that 200 million will be raised by them? And what is the time frame that it has to be raised by for that target to be met? I'd like to know the time frame for that. Secondly, would we be disbursing our 150 before that 200 million is in place? Are we going to take the risk of lending that money to JPS, funded out of the consolidated fund you've said? I was going to ask you how it's going to be funded. That's roughly the same amount as the cat bond drawdown, we're told. This 150, which Jamaica has been seeing as being critical to the housing, shelter, the school fixing up, the health centers and hospitals, etc. JPS is now going to get the benefit of that money. I want to know whether we're going to take that risk and disburse those funds to JPS until the damage fund is fully funded. As it stands now, all you've told us is you've left it up to them and they're to come back to you. That, I think, is a risk we're not prepared to take as a country. This is coming out of the nation's available liquidity, and when there are a whole lot of needs to be met. So I think it's necessary for us to do what is necessary to get JPS up and running as quickly as possible. But I think we have to do it very prudently and sensibly so that we don't unnecessarily expose taxpayers to loss. So I would like your assurance, Minister, that that 200 million will be coughed up by JPS, perhaps by its two large overseas shareholders.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Let me indicate very clearly for all of Jamaica to hear. The meeting that we had yesterday morning, where the Minister of Finance and the Financial Secretary was there, we ironed out a way forward, realizing the seriousness and the time-sensitive nature of this response. So the first answer to your question is that this government is prepared on behalf of the people of Jamaica to release the $150 million in whatever tranches are required as quickly as possible to get the restoration going. And that's the difference between a caring government and somebody who has a financial background. The people want light. Okay? So let me just make that clear.
Point of order, Minister.
Point of order.
Minister, point of order.
His feet, talking. The minister is standing on his feet, talking into the mic. You don't need to personalize your response. You don't need to get hot under the collar. It's a legitimate question I'm asking. And I'm just, so don't bother about having a financial background. I want to know a simple question. Are you going to ensure the funding is in place? And now you're coming back and personalizing it in a totally unnecessary way.
Let me repeat. The member is saying that his position is that he would not release the $150 million unless he knew where the $200 million was coming from. That's what he said. Mr. Speaker, let me just say it again. Based on the meeting that took place yesterday, we are confident, based on the meeting that had the representative of the Ministry of Finance at the highest level, the Minister and the Financial Secretary, you can't go any higher, that we are prepared to release the $150 billion tonight if it means that the people are going to get back light sooner than later. Mr. Speaker,
Members.
Mr. Speaker.
Members, hold. All minister. Members.
You are a wicked and a wicked and evil. Bad mind don't go on yet from September 3rd.
Members.
Wicked and evil. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Minister, all. Members. Members from the opposition side.
You are an uncaring set.
If you
You are
do,
a heartless set.
if
You're a
you
wicked
do not
set.
allow the minister to continue, then we will have to go to something else. Please. You do not have the floor. Member from St. Catherine North Central, you do not have the floor.
Mr. Speaker.
You will find out in short.
Mr. Speaker.
Go ahead, Minister.
The $150 million
Give me
that the
chance.
government is prepared to release as soon as the documentation is in place, which will be no later than a matter of hours to a day, because of the urgency, is specific for restoration over 2 months, December and January. That $150 million is ring-fenced to deal with a restoration program that will take care of Jamaica, not only some parishes. And if you are going to tell me that there are people in this house that would question a government in a crisis like this to hold $150 million that we have availability now, to find out about $200 million, which can take another month or 6 weeks. Our money is secured whichever way it goes. We are a responsible government, and we have taken a responsible decision, a caring decision, an argument done